liberty, you'll vote for Tim O'Connor, 'cause he believes in the Constitution. And as your assemblyman, he will be your voice. He'll never let you down, make him the choice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. We finally had a man who hears your voice. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Tim O'Connor is the only choice. Write in Tim O'Connor, Libertarian, for New York State Senate, Senate District 51.
All right, guys, it's October 15th, 2020. We are just days away from the election, the upcoming New York State Senate District 51 election, where I am a write-in candidate, but I am running as a Libertarian, guys. I want to be clear about that. Me too, Peter Yeaple. That's my buddy Hot Matt, Harold Mark Jordan. He is an excellent advocate for me, and he's a great guy. If you he used to make a living in New York, just like some other people that we know, but decided to move out. I know you went out west. He went down south, brother. Yeah, man, this is my broadcast studio, brother. Don't you love it? Look at the contractor, art behind me. We got my RC Cola. We got my vitamin D back there. We got a picture of my boy. Well, there was a picture of my daughter back there somewhere. But no, man, I'm just in here hanging out. Guys, check it out. I found a Democrat that actually wants to talk with me. Believe it or not, it happened. He is the Democrat running for Senate District 51. And on Saturday at about 10 a.m., and I know that's a little bit early to be messing with politics, guys, but him and I are going to have a forum in Shenango County, but basically via Zoom. So we're going to broadcast it on the internet to the best of our ability. So he and I had a phone conversation, and guys, I'm talking to him, and I'm like, we're just kind of shooting the breeze. He's a fifth generation farmer out in Schoharie County. He's a nice guy. He's a gentleman. Look, I don't want to campaign for him. That's not my goal, right? But like, if he wins, if I win, if the other guy wins, the Republican, at least something's going to change in New York. And these guys are okay. They're human beings, whatever. I think I'm better. I think literally, guys, I am going to be the best possible representative for Senate District 51. That I absolutely believe, because of my positions on weed legalization, my positions on localization, my understanding of how towns and counties can start to reject the overbearing top-down governance that we do battle with every single day. Okay. And guys, yes, that's right. I just saw a like pop up there. Thank you very much. The likes, the comments, the shares. Guys, particularly if you're watching on Twitter and YouTube, if you can give me a like or a comment or share from there, that would be beneficial. I do get some viewers on YouTube. I do get some viewers on Twitter, but it would be nice to get a little bit of feedback from them as well. So basically, me and this guy me and Jim Barber were just kind of chit-chatting about what we'd like to see for New York State. And we both agree that we chase our children out of New York State, that there's not enough economic opportunity. I'm pretty sure he's got some big government solutions. And I think that's standard operating procedure anymore. Okay. Big government solutions are standard operating procedure. We have platitudes where these guys go and they say, well, what we need is a program for farmers in upstate New York. I'm saying legalize cannabis, man. Legalize cannabis for our local farms. We have so much acreage that used to be productive that's just going fallow, that the farms are falling into the grounds, the people are getting chased out of their property. I mean, it's real. Okay. So legalizing cannabis, legalizing hemp, legalizing its production and usage, I think would go a long way towards an economic rebirth. Okay. And even just these farmers that are struggling, give them a cash crop, something they can even grow on the side and make some money. Now, how we're going to end up legalizing, and guys, you've heard me go over this story 100 times, but hang in there, right? I don't want to bore you, but I've got some things. This isn't going to be a long show tonight anyway, because it's already kind of late. So I've got this cannabis, weed, hemp legalization. Okay, got to happen in New York. It's going to happen. We don't have a choice. The country's in a race for weed legalization. Places that have legalized cannabis, like Colorado, are growing. Places that have economic opportunity, like South Dakota, are growing. And as you guys know, we've lost millions of people over the years here in New York. Thank you, Pete. I'm glad you were there. I enjoy your comments. I enjoy Andrew's comments, and most of all, guys, I enjoy Larry's comments. Look, guys, I got sap on my hands today. I was working out, cutting down trees. Believe it or not. Tim's policy, good. I agree. I think we've got to really start battling against high taxes, right? And overbearing governance, as you guys all have heard me talk about 100 times. Got a funny story. Some of you guys know my kid's a wrestler. And when I was traveling around the New York State to hang out with Larry Sharp up in Herkimer, we stopped by. That's actually, believe it or not, guys, Herkimer is Senate District 51. So we drove all the way up there. And my daughter, who is a new driver, was backing out of a parking lot and rubbed a guy's car. So we left our name, and the guy called us, and his name happens to be Merrick Bush. And a lot of people in Senate District 51, especially Section 3, will recognize that name. All right. So this kid's a big stud wrestler. So I'm going to have my little 14-year-old wrestle him for the cost of the damage to his car. I've made that offer. We'll see if he accepts. My kid's a stud too, but he's not as, this kid's older. It would be really, really funny. My wife is out there tonight. Good job, honey. How are you? Still at work, supporting your man. It's much appreciated. So, guys, we had an issue that I would like to talk about a little bit, and I'm going to kind of expand on it, and I'm going to do some more research. And I'm very concerned that what we saw with this Anarchist Farms, with their they have a yearly hemp cannabis rally kind of thing, okay? And oh, you found me on YouTube. All right, good job. So basically, they have this yearly farm thing. Where they do a rally and a celebration, and they're advocating for weed legalization and hemp legalization. And so I guess the property was up for back taxes, and then the county issued a cease and desist order. But the county technically, the county foreclosed on the property on the day that they, according to the news, all right, I'm just going off the news stories, the county issued the cease and desist order on the day that they seized the property. So technically they're the landowner at that time. And I'm getting a little confused as to how this stuff all works. And I'm wondering if proper procedures were filed. And I'm very uncomfortable with the constant seizing of property to satisfy budgets in Senate District 51, but in particular in Otsego County. You guys have seen me talk with my friend Robert Force. And again, I almost feel like this is why tonight's going to be short. I don't have a lot of new stuff, but I do always want to advocate for what happened, people learning about what happened to my friend Robert. And the more that you learn about it, I think the more that you're going to realize that we've got to be better people when it comes to these situations. Period. Exclamation point. ... So with this Anarchist Farms thing, basically only one arrest has been made. I haven't heard about any of the participants in the political rally getting arrested yet, which I think is good, guys. That's right there is my donor box link. If you can drop me a few bucks, I would appreciate it. This campaign is expensive. It's fun, and I've met wonderful people, and I'm helping other wonderful people, and things keep getting more and more interesting, just like the conversation that I'm going to have publicly with Jim Barber. And we talked about our views on abortion. We talked about the reality that New York State is in jeopardy. We've talked about our potential solutions. We want to save some stuff. So we wanted to save some tinder for our meetup on Saturday. And again, I'm going to try to broadcast that to Tim for New York State Senate. One of my goals, guys, as a libertarian in a heavily Republican district is to not just take votes from the Republican, because I don't think that should be anyone's goal. What I want on the table is the ideas, the solutions, and the concerns that I have. I'm going to take them to the Senate and do battle in the Senate for those ideas and concerns. And a lot of people, excuse me, have been reaching out to me and explaining to me that they think my concerns are valid. So let's go over my concerns, right? Taxes are too high, regulations are too oppressive, and every time we turn around, it feels like the boot of the government's going to end up on your neck. So if you live on a lake and you want to do some repair work to your lakefront, guys, it's a several month process to get the permits. Then it's then you've got to find a guy to do it. And then if they come out to measure things and it doesn't quite match up, somebody's getting fined, and that creates this constant nervousness. You're like, it's not your property. It's very annoying. So I want better treatment. I want service from our government. Local mask ordinances, guys, check this out. All right, let's just talk about them for a few minutes. And as you see, every town in our area, Cooperstown, Oneonta, the town of Oneonta, and the city of Oneonta, all are enacting these local mask ordinances. Okay, let's talk about why these guys are doing that, and then we're going to talk about another thing. And remember, the comments keep me going, so I'm going to start putting them up there in a second. But let's talk about these mask ordinances, these mask mandates. These, if you have more than 10 people in your house, you're supposed to call a number and turn people in. Those are at the order of Andrew Cuomo because he's going to withhold funding from these municipalities. So while our politicians are taking a weak stance and just enforcing what Cuomo wants, we also have to forgive them because every single person's job in local government right now is to serve the budget. Okay. So if they don't write these mass ordinances and they don't give Cuomo's executive orders teeth, is what they call them, which makes sense when everybody wants to talk about teeth. When you write a law, it's got to have teeth. It's got to be enforceable. So Cuomo wants his executive orders to be enforced on the local level. So when you see this week, the mayor of Oneonta is going to sign off on a law that requires masks to be worn. And now if there's 10 or more people in the house, the police can be called. And this is all in response to COVID. And as you guys know, COVID is real, but these lockdowns and these turning our neighbors against each other are actually probably worse than the disease. So that's actually a bigger problem, probably worse than the disease. They are worse than the disease in a lot of ways. Okay, the government's job is to provide us with information so that we can protect ourselves and protect our neighbors. And if you have a comorbidity, and that's the other thing, guys, when we're really, the news is out there, do your research, and my hat won't straighten out, right? Sorry. Do your research, guys. Don't just believe me. I'm telling you that whether masks are necessary or not is at the very least debatable. The World Health Organization reversed its position on lockdowns, straight up reversed it, just said, stop locking people down. You're making poor people poor. Poor people poor. That's what we've been saying since the lockdown started. That's what I've been saying since the lockdown started. The comorbidities from COVID, not associated with the deaths from COVID, but the comorbidities of the government's response to COVID are also drastic, horrible, and we need to deal with them. And the World Health Organization has finally come around and positioned itself to say those exact things. It's important, guys, because we, as a government, we don't respond fast enough now. So now we've got towns finally, after 6 months, going back through and backfilling for Cuomo's executive orders because he's going to withhold funding if they don't. Which, guys, I got bad news for you. The threat of Cuomo withholding funding is almost hilarious in a pathetic sort of way, right? Because let's be honest, Cuomo can withhold funding, but he's already withholding funding. The state is already bankrupt. It was $6 billion in debt. It's $13 billion in debt after the COVID response. And guys, that number's climbing. And I think it's going to be 40, 50, $60 billion a year for the next couple of years because we destroyed our economy, period. We've chased 60% of small businesses, chased them out of the state. Bottom line, restaurants are closed all over the place. Cuomo's policies, laws, mandates, taxes are killing upstate New York and driving people out by the bushel. Yeah, by the bushel is an understatement. Yes, if we get libertarians in office, we can reverse this. Yeah, but it's like, are we the magic silver bullet? Can what we're doing is hoping to take the Titanic and change its direction. So if I get elected, if Queter gets elected, right, that's our goal. We want to make that happen. We've got to change the direction that we're going into. We've got to localize our decision making anyway, because top-down strategy hasn't worked, and it has chased people out by more than the bushel, right, Andrew? I mean, let's face it, we watch our towns closing up, and we watch guys, they're hidden behind bushes. There's houses all over the place that are unoccupied. We have a house right down the road, beautiful little house. Some kid drove into it back in March. They haven't done a thing to fix it. The walls have been wide open all summer. It was a beautiful, well-maintained little house, and now it's getting lost to nature. And that's because no one wants to come to New York and fix it. Period. Somebody owns it. Somebody paid taxes on it. It hasn't been seized for taxes, but no one wants to fix it because the expense of fixing something up in New York doesn't pay off to have something in New York. So they're just going to let it rot, and that's really sad. Thank you, Hart. I'm glad you found it on YouTube. All right. Charge the bill to Cuomo. The asshat needs to pay for something. Yeah, but he doesn't. He really doesn't. Save the Forest Farm. We're going to try. Robert isn't giving up the ghost. He hasn't given up the fight. And so that's the thing. That's the important part. Don't be surprised if he does. Okay, like don't be surprised if the town of Maryland mandates masks. There's no exclusion. If they're not getting government funding, then they have no reason to mandate masks. So it would depend, right, on what kind of government funding the town of Maryland would see being withheld from Cuomo. But that is the real thing. Cuomo is withholding payments to municipalities, villages, and towns. Okay. So maybe he will get to withholding funds from Maryland, and then they'll be forced to pass the mask ordinance as well. But can you imagine passing? You got to have a mask on in Maryland. I mean, you're already socially distant. You guys are already more socially distant than Sweden. The town's already experienced economic hard times. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that, guys? I mean, I can imagine it. Right, Cuomo will force people to do whatever they want. So, guys, last show, Tuesday night, I was talking about, and maybe you guys saw it on the Larry Sharpe show, was talking about a conversation where Cuomo was taped talking about the response to COVID as we're seeing these little bit of hot spots pop up. Maybe I shouldn't say little bit. Let's be respectful. People are nervous about COVID still, but we're seeing hot spots pop up. We have Cuomo on tape admitting to a group of rabbis that, okay, hang in there, hold your hats. Okay, we have Cuomo admitting that the response to COVID is not based on science, it's based on fear. And that what is happening in New York City to the Jewish people losing their rights to go to temple again, and they can't have weddings, and the police are breaking up any kind of gatherings that they're having. That's de Blasio's fault, and he's the one not responding. Cuomo wants everybody. Once everybody calms down about COVID, we can start easing up these restrictions. That's what he's on tape as saying. That's what he's on tape as believing. And guys, make no mistake about it. I mean, he's talking to a very powerful constituency that votes for him in a block, basically. So how do we fix that? How do we get that word out? I sent it around to a bunch of guys. Was on Larry Sharpe show. If you guys run across that, share to your pages. I would be interested in seeing what the responses of people are to what Cuomo said there. One good thing I have seen on Facebook, people are ready to kind of push back against the notion that they should be turning in their neighbors for having more than 10 people in their house, which is good. Kind of a general announcement to make too, and I've got about 10 more minutes before I decide to start getting out here. But if you guys got questions or comments, please send them at me, especially if there's a Democrat out there watching and they want to know what my views might be on what they would want to see a New York State senator offer. I'd still love to hear that. So basically, we're working on some interesting things for Senate District 51. As you guys know, the Old Guard, New Fire is out there working hard because they support a candidate that got trampled by the system. And so they're doing some hard work. I'm doing some hard work. We may be able to put together one of the most epic Facebook shows of all time. and it's going to be epic. That's what we're working on. That's what we're doing. I'm hoping that we can pull it all together. Yeah, he would probably travel to Israel. Why wouldn't he? Excuse me. All right. So where, guys, would you want this show to go tonight? And if we don't go anywhere, that's fine. I'm just saying I got on because it's late. I want to see who's out there and ready to talk to me. And let me just take one quick look at my inbox. And, all right. Okay. So, guys, this is things are getting interesting, man. Things are getting really interesting. I just received, I know it sounds silly, right? I just checked my messages, but we are going to put together, first of all, an epic show for liberty, an epic show to push back against the duopoly, an epic show to push back against what we could call party and political malfeasance. And I think this is going to be good. And I think some of you guys who know me know who I'm talking about, but I want to kind of keep it under wraps, and I kind of want to work, get some mileage out of it by teasing you guys along. But the show is going to be good. It's going to be serious. We're going to be talking about real issues in Senate District 51 and New York 19. And I think that everybody's going to learn a valuable lesson about how to proceed in the future in these districts. I don't think that being a Democrat's going to be good enough. I don't think that being a Republican is going to be good enough. What we want and what we are fighting for, guys, and what we're asking for and what I'm offering, guys, okay, is real representation on the floor of the New York State Senate, where we go in there and we fight for localization, where we fight to make the downstate densely populated areas understand that our lives cannot be answered the same way that their lives can be answered. We don't drive through toll booths. We don't have some major stock market, major employer propping us up. Okay, that's why our kids are leaving. We don't have economic opportunity. Yeah, I think there's a name right there, Andrew, that isn't going to be attending any debates with me. He may attend debates with Jim Barber, but for right now, for some reason, he doesn't want to participate with me, and that's fine. That's his decision. I think he's missing out on an opportunity, and hopefully it may cost him politically. I honestly think that it should cost him politically for not wanting to talk to me in a public forum, because honestly he's a decent guy and he may have a lot of stuff. He may have a lot of stuff that people might like better than what I had to say. He may be able to out debate me. He's a smart guy. He's done some good stuff. I think one of his vulnerabilities is my localization strategy, and the fact that our local areas and a number of our local municipalities are spending money on what I'm calling virtue signaling, and they're entering into competition with private entrepreneurs regularly. Okay. And I think that is one of the things that sends our entrepreneurial minded people to other states. Okay. That the government now competes directly, nearly consistently. Hang in there, Dakota. Nearly consistently, like every time they have a good idea that if I was to try to put it into operation, I can't do it because it's against the zoning codes, but because they're the government, can all of a sudden put it into operation. That's a problem. And that's been going on for too long in our communities. That's been going on for too long in New York. We have forgotten about opportunity, economic opportunity for the individual. I am never wearing this hat again on this show, ever. That hat makes me mad. It's making me feisty. Guys, the likes, the comments, the shares. Guys, if you got a couple bucks, donate them. If you don't have a couple bucks, share it. If you have the guts, share it to your personal page. Okay. Town of Marathon just passed this. I saw that in the news. The Town of Marathon just passed the Second Amendment preservation law. It's a law with no teeth, purely to show support for the two-way. Any thoughts on these type of laws? And do they affect anything or anyone making policy in Albany? You know what, Dakota, you're brilliant. All right. Someday you run for this seat because you're a bright kid. That's a great question. They pass these preservation laws. They're resolutions, right? Non-binding resolutions is what they end up getting called. If I read the article correctly, Otsego County already passed one. Several areas in New York State have already passed them, and it has no teeth. They can pass the law so it has teeth, number one, why I support it is I support the concept of the Second Amendment. I know that my basic goal as a libertarian would be to get red flag laws repealed, and then if no other anti-gun legislation comes along, I'd be willing to let it maintain there. Like, and if someone wants to reach out to me and say, well, maybe you should stand against this, or you should stand against this particular aspect of the Second Amendment, I think I would consider hearing that way more than any of the other guys would consider hearing it. Otsego County just received 3,300, 3,400 petitions from people asking that the non-binding resolution in Otsego County can be passed in such a way as to have teeth. I prefer that if we're going to localize, one of the ways that we have to localize and get people interested in it is about the Second Amendment, because the Second Amendment in upstate New York is far more important than it is in other areas to us. And that's the important thing. That's the problem with the representation that we're getting from the state doesn't recognize us in up this Senate District 51, all of upstate New York, that we do have a different relationship with guns than people in the city do. And honestly, people in the city could actually have a better relationship with guns and do a better job of protecting themselves. I think that that would be respect. Second Amendment is respect, protection, and the ability to take care of yourself in times of need and jeopardy, and to stand against a tyrannical government. And so those concepts, when we limit gun rights, go away. We then have to turn to the government for protection. We then have to turn to government for times when times are tough and we can't go hunt our own food. And I know that's a tricky issue because we are already pretty heavily regulated in New York, and I'm not looking to do away with every single regulation. Even as a libertarian, I want less regulations and I want less propensity to regulate. Okay. So that I think is important to remember. Well, there was something else I was just going to say about this. Will it have any effect? I don't know if it will have any effect, but let's talk about this. The next round of laws coming from New York State are going to deal with making it cost more money to own the guns that you already have. Now, as a libertarian, as a small government conservative, that to me stinks like economic bigotry and a way to make poor people poorer, because rich people are always going to have all the guns and weaponry and self-defense tools that they'll ever need, and they'll be able to hire people to do that. So what they're doing is taking the rights of poor, lower middle class people. That's whose rights they're actually infringing on with laws like that. Does everybody understand that? Do you get any specific questions about that? I think that is an incredibly important concept that I will try my best to explain. But as a senator, as you guys know, I believe I will have a platform to communicate with towns like Marathon and counties like Otsego to say, look, this is not respectful of the individuals that live in your counties when you're limiting gun laws, when you're not taking what they're asking for and making it a law with teeth in your district, which could help grow our population. Guys, people are leaving for Kentucky. People are leaving for Tennessee. Their gun laws there are nothing like the gun laws in New York State. People are leaving for Florida. People are leaving this state. And after the New York State government's response to COVID and its inability to admit that it's time to pull back on their overbearance, okay, when they locked down the entire state, when Otsego County had 100 people sick, like that's economic devastation. They chased businesses away. Those people are gone, right? They're not coming back. You can bribe them. You can offer them a pilot program. They know the deal. They're not getting tricked into coming back. You saw Cuomo begging his rich friends to come back. He'll cook them dinner at his house. Guys, he knows that he's gone too far, but he doesn't have the determination or the guts to pull back on this stuff. And we don't have a legislative representative body that is making enough noise to force him to pull back on this stuff. They're an extension of the bureaucracy. I don't even mean to insult them. They get in there, they get complacent, they become an extension of the bureaucracy. They get to hand out checks with their name on it from the state government to their local communities to make it look like they're heroes. And I don't agree with that. I feel like that's kind of a corruption thing. If it comes out of their campaign coffers and people want to give them credit for donating money to a local fireman, fire department, fine. I get it. It still doesn't seem real to me because as a libertarian, I've raised a little bit of money. So where does all that money come from? Are they taking it out of their savings accounts? Maybe. Anyways, The big thing is I did this for about a half an hour tonight. If I don't get a bunch more questions in the next few minutes, but if you've got questions, ask them now because I'm going to get going. But I wanted to make everyone aware. We've got Jim Barber and I Saturday morning at 10 o'clock. The Libertarian Party is doing some work on checking out exactly how this property seizure went down and who's going to end up getting charged and stuff like that with this issue with the Anarchist Farms, which, guys, is a very cute name, Anarchist. I mean, that scares everybody, right? Anarchist. Why do they got to do that? But it's just cute. It's not even, the guy was a cannabis legalization advocate. He throws a party every year as economic opportunity in our area. And because we're scared of COVID, Sturgis didn't make people sick. That was a lie, okay? It wasn't a super spreader. They double-checked the stats. Reason went after him. They proved it was a lie. But the news was Sturgis was a super spreader event. They're going to try, maybe they'll try to make this event a super spreader event. I don't know. Wait, the guy's name was like Deacon A. Narcist, Narcist, that they arrested. He was the one who had leased the farm. Now they may have, there's some confusing information that I've got. Hopefully me and a couple other people are sorting things out. Yeah, but there's an A in there, anarchic. You know, it's anarchic, No, I'm not wrong. I'm pretty sure. At least it looked like that to me. But look, Dakota, hang in there. We're going to kind of explode everyone's understanding of that situation down the road here, I hope. And I think that seizing the property, having a county health board on the same day they supposedly seize the property, send a cease and desist. George A. Narkic. Right? It's, yeah, AKNARICH. You're not seeing it? Anyways, if I'm wrong, that's fine. I just thought it was a cute little way to express dissatisfaction with the governing system. Excuse me. And believe me, if I was not trying to okay. All right. Let's see that. Let's put that up there. Pronounced Carnickel. Okay. All right. So listen, yeah, I want you to know that I wasn't trying to insult him. I thought I read too much in there. All right. So definitely, believe me, was not an insult. I thought it was a cute like pseudonym to express his dissatisfaction with the government, which I was totally respecting. And if I was wrong, man, George, if I was wrong and you're watching this show, please accept my apologies. That's all right. So guys, we're going to be checking out for tonight. We made it 33 minutes. Dakota, thank you for being here. Let's head down there. I will. I'm going to reach out to him. I believe that he is a good dude. I definitely want to hear from him firsthand as to how this whole situation played out. And if he's comfortable even coming on this show, or if he wants to really express himself, I'd be more than willing to have a conversation with him. Because first of all, as you know, I'm willing to live the life of the guy that is advocating for hemp and cannabis legalization and help that guy however I can. I'm a little bit kind of disappointed that I didn't hear about this thing ahead of time. I think it's because I'm just a redneck that doesn't necessarily travel in those circles, but I want him to know that I'm curious about his situation. I want more information about it. And I'm going to reach out to him. So thank you for that recommendation. Guys, you all have a good night. Remember the likes, the comments, the shares. Remember, tune in. I'll create events for the big things that I'm talking about. I will try to share my conversation with Jim Barber on Saturday to my Facebook page. But if I'm not able to broadcast it directly to my Facebook page, I will. Oh, cool. All right. I will find a way to get it onto my Senate page. All right. So I'm going to reach out to that guy. All right. Guys, thank you all. Have a good night. And write in Tim O'Connor for Senate District 51. Take care, everybody.